Your vagus nerve fires every single time you exhale, and most people have no idea it's the longest cranial nerve in their body, running from the base of their skull all the way down through their heart, their lungs, and into their gut. It is cranial nerve X, the 10th, and it carries a signal that can drop your heart rate from 140 beats per minute to 72 in seconds. Not metaphorically, measurably. On a monitor, in real time, this is the nerve that controls whether your body stays locked in panic or switches back to calm. And today we're going to walk through exactly how it works. From the moment your amygdala fires an alarm, through the cascade that floods your system with adrenaline, to the 3 specific physical maneuvers that activate this nerve and shut the whole response down, step by step, mechanism by mechanism. Starting right now. When a panic attack begins, it doesn't start in your chest. It starts in a small almond-shaped structure deep in your temporal lobe called the amygdala. Think of it as a smoke detector, except this one doesn't distinguish between actual fire and burnt toast. It detects a threat pattern, and within milliseconds it triggers the sympathetic nervous system, adrenaline, cortisol. Your heart rate spikes, your pupils dilate, blood redirects away from your digestive organs and into your skeletal muscles. Your body is preparing to fight or run from something that, in most modern panic attacks, doesn't physically exist. This is what neuroscientists call an amygdala hijack. Your prefrontal cortex, the rational planning part of your brain, gets bypassed entirely. The alarm signal travels faster than conscious thought. Now here's where the vagus nerve enters. It is the primary cable of the parasympathetic nervous system, the counterweight to that entire fight-or-flight cascade. When the vagus nerve fires strongly, it releases acetylcholine at the heart's sinoatrial node, physically slowing the heartbeat. It signals the lungs to deepen respiration. It tells the gut to resume digestion. It is, in the most literal neurological sense, the off switch. And this isn't fringe science. Nature's own scientific reports published a rigorous double-blind, sham-controlled study on transcutaneous vagus nerve stimulation as a mechanism for treating depression, confirming that this nerve's activation produces measurable, repeatable changes in mood and autonomic state. A separate study, also published in Nature, found that vagal activity directly influences neuronal oscillations in both the prefrontal cortex and the amygdala, your brain's alarm system and its rational override, connected by one nerve, so the architecture is clear. Sympathetic activation pushes you into panic. Parasympathetic activation, through the vagus nerve, pulls you back out. The question is, how do you pull the lever? The answer is 3 techniques, each backed by clinical research, each targeting a different access point along the vagus nerve's pathway. The first one is so ancient, it's built into the biology of every mammal on Earth, and your body already knows how to do it. It's called the dive reflex. When cold water contacts the skin of your face, specifically the forehead, cheeks, and area around the eyes, your trigeminal nerve sends a signal that triggers an immediate vagal response. Heart rate drops. Peripheral blood vessels constrict. Oxygen consumption decreases. Your entire autonomic nervous system shifts from sympathetic dominance to parasympathetic control within seconds. This isn't theory. A UVA professor tested this mechanism on mice and found that cold water submersion reliably triggered the vagus nerve's calming cascade, measurably reducing anxiety markers. And as Psychology Today reported, this isn't some biohack we invented. Humans are literally designed with this reflex built in. It's ancient biology, a survival mechanism from when our ancestors dove into water and needed their bodies to conserve oxygen and slow down instantly. Think of it like a circuit breaker. Your sympathetic system is overloading the panel. The dive reflex trips the breaker and forces a reset. Even world champion athletes use this instinctively. The New York Times reported that Rafael Nadal relied on freezing cold showers to manage performance stress. And now the science shows it's the vagus nerve doing the work. The second technique is something your body does every night without you knowing. It's called the physiological sigh, a double inhale through the nose followed by an extended exhale through the mouth. Stanford researchers, including neuroscientist Andrew Huberman, demonstrated that this specific breathing pattern is the fastest voluntary method to activate parasympathetic tone. It works because the long exhale increases intrathoracic pressure in a way that stimulates baroreceptors in your aortic arch and carotid sinus, which feed directly into the vagus nerve. The nerve fires, heart rate drops, calm begins. Here's a question. When you feel that spike of anxiety hit, Does it catch you more in the morning or late at night? Drop it in the comments. The third technique is the Valsalva maneuver, bearing down as if you're straining, which increases pressure inside the chest cavity and directly compresses vagal fibers. Emergency rooms use this to reset cardiac arrhythmias. It is, quite literally, a clinical-grade vagal activation tool that requires no equipment and no prescription. But the most striking part of this entire system isn't any single technique. It's what happens when you practice them repeatedly. Here's where the vagus nerve becomes something more than an emergency switch. It becomes trainable. Vagal tone, measured through heart rate variability, or HRV, represents how efficiently your vagus nerve modulates your heart's rhythm. High vagal tone means your parasympathetic system responds quickly and powerfully. Low vagal tone means your body stays stuck in sympathetic overdrive longer, recovers slower, and panics more easily next time. And vagal tone is not fixed. Every time you activate the vagus nerve through cold exposure, physiological sighing, or the Valsalva maneuver, you are strengthening that neural pathway, like a muscle under progressive resistance. The more you fire it, the faster and stronger it responds. This is where Pavlovian conditioning meets neuroscience. When you repeatedly activate vagal calm in a safe environment, your nervous system begins to associate the physical cues, the cold sensation, the exhale pattern, the bearing down pressure, with parasympathetic activation. Over weeks of practice, your body starts initiating the calming response before conscious anxiety even fully registers. The vagus nerve fires preemptively. Major health publications are now asking this question openly. Very Well Mind reported directly, can vagus nerve therapy actually regulate mood and anxiety? The answer from the research is increasingly clear. Yes, and the mechanism runs even deeper than mood. The vagus nerve operates what immunologists call the cholinergic anti-inflammatory pathway. When it fires, acetylcholine doesn't just slow your heart, it suppresses inflammatory cytokines throughout your body. Chronic sympathetic dominance, chronic unresolved panic, drives systemic inflammation. Training your vagus nerve reduces it. Frontiers published research showing the vagus nerve is literally the communication highway between your gut microbiome and your anxiety response, operating through the gut-brain axis. Clinical neurology journals have confirmed that non-invasive vagus nerve stimulation treats acute migraine, demonstrating this nerve's reach extends far beyond emotional regulation, and the practical applications keep expanding. Beyond anxiety, users of VNS protocols report improvements in sleep quality and digestive function. These devices are already on the market, and independent tech reviewers are testing them for measurable stress relief outcomes. But here is the part that matters most. You don't need a device. You have the nerve.
You have 3 techniques, and every time you use them, you are conditioning your vagus nerve to fire faster, stronger, and earlier until panic has to fight through a wall of trained parasympathetic tone just to reach your conscious awareness.
Your vagal tone right now, as you sit here, is either your greatest defense against the next wave of stress or a muscle you've never once exercised. That gap between the system you have and the system you're using is the entire difference. The nerve runs from your brainstem to your gut. It has been firing since the moment you were born, and now you know how to fire it back. Deliberately, precisely, on command. Next time, what happens inside your brain during the first 60 seconds of a cold shower? The vagus nerve is only the beginning.